everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Flag Facts with John. I'm John, and this is the show where we look at history, culture, and art and design through the lens of flags from all around the world. Last week we talked about the flag of Brazil and its interesting relationship to the Habsburg Empire, as well as astronomy and geopolitics. Today we're going to talk about the flag for the nation of Greece. The flag for the nation of Greece was not designed by a singular person. However, it was designed by a committee of 33 Greek individuals right around the time that Greece declared its independence from the Ottoman Empire. Perhaps the most important person at the Greek assembly was a man named Alexandros Mavrokordatos. He was a key member at this first Greek National Assembly. He then went on to be the Prime Minister of Greece 4 non-consecutive times. He was elected the Prime Minister of Greece in 1833, 1841, 1844, and 1854. So while he did not singularly design the flag, he is perhaps the most important person related to the story of the flag and related to the founding of the modern state of Greece. Alexandros has a pretty interesting history. He was born in Constantinople, not Istanbul, in 1791, and he died in the city of Aegina, maybe that's Aegina, I don't know, in Aegina, Greece in 1865 at the age of 74. He had a very productive life. He did fight in the Greek Revolution. Before the Greek Revolution started, he was living in Western Europe and doing a lot of studying and just sort of being a wealthy socialite. He actually learned that the Greek Revolution had started while he was living in the town of Pisa, Italy. He was actually a roommate of the poet Percy Shelley and Percy's wife, Mary Shelley, who went on to write Frankenstein. I have to imagine that breakfast at this house was very, very interesting. But anyway, eventually Alexandros heard that the revolution had started and he immediately booked it back to Greece so that he could be a part of what he believed was going to be a very important chapter in the life of his people. As I said before, there were 32 other members of this Congress. Some of the ones that really stood out to me, we have Demetrios Papanikolaou. He was a naval hero, and he also was the first person to use a fire ship. Basically, a fire ship is when you load a boat with a whole bunch of explosives and then you just shove that boat off towards your enemies. This is kind of the predecessor to the modern torpedo. We also have Constantine Canaris. He is just a guy with a really awesome beard that I think you should look at. And my personal favorite, one of the members of this assembly, was a man named Demetrios Ypsilantis. Demetrios Ypsilantis is the namesake for Ypsilanti, Michigan. The town was actually founded while the Greek Revolution was going on. Actually, if you go to Ypsilanti today, right in front of the water tower, there is a statue dedicated to Demetrios that you can visit. The flag of Greece is a blue field with 4 horizontal white stripes and a white cross in the canton. The white cross in the canton represents the Greek Orthodox Church and the importance of Christianity to the Greek people. There is no official interpretation for the stripes and what they mean or why there are 9 of them, but the most popular theory is that it's supposed to represent the 9 letters of the Greek word eleftheria, which means freedom. My personal favorite interpretation of the 9 stripes is that it's supposed to represent the 9 muses in classical Greek literature. There's also no specific writings about what exact shade of blue must be used on the flag, so in practice, if you go to Greece, you may see lots of variations with lighter or darker versions. Similarly, there is no concrete interpretation about why they use the colors of white and blue. It has been said that the colors of the shield of Achilles were white and blue. It's also been said that the colors white and blue represent the colors of the goddess Athena. Nowadays, most people say that the colors white and blue represent the sky and the sea over the Mediterranean. The antecedents of the modern Greek flag go back hundreds of years, at least to the early 1300s. During the Byzantine Empire, many rulers living in what is now modern-day Greece started to fly banners that included this cross formation. Eventually, the Byzantines were kicked out and the Ottomans came in. They ruled this land from the 1400s until about 1821. During this time, there was a lot of conflict. A lot of the Greeks did not like living under the Ottomans, and various independent states popped up before they were eventually brought back down. Some of those states used flags that featured white and blue with a cross formation. Also, interestingly enough, the Ottoman cavalry also flew a flag that looks suspiciously similar to the modern flag. During the revolution, a lot of the people fighting on the side of a free Greece flew this flag as sort of a rebel flag. As I alluded to before, a lot of Western European powers were reticent to recognize the newly freed Greece as an independent state. Part of this had to do with the lack of organization, but part of it had to do with the fact that the revolution to free Greece from the Ottoman Empire started with a secret society. If you're from the United States, you may be familiar with the Masons or the Freemasons, and the Foliki Eteria in Greece is kind of like that. But instead of just having weird buildings and weird rituals, the Foliki Eteria actually planned a coup and carried it out. Foliki Eteria is Greek for the Society of Friends, or perhaps the Friendship Club. So after the war and after the time of sort of confusion, the first assembly of the Greek people was held. This ran from December of 1821 until January 15th of 1822. They initially decided that the flag for the country of Greece was going to look like this if it was flying on land, and to look like this if it was flying at sea. Between 1822 and 2020, there have been several different governments, republics, and coups, and anytime there is a big regime change, there are usually some adjustments made to the flag. A lot of times when there's a coup and a new power comes in, they like to add a crown to the flag so that it looks like this, and then when there's another revolution and another coup comes in, they like to take that crown away from the flag. Despite the fact that this was supposed to be the land flag, people always seem to prefer this sea flag, and a lot of them just kind of flew it all of the time. Finally, after the 1970s, when a military junta came into power and then was subsequently ended, they just decided to get rid of the land flag entirely, and as of 1978, this has been the flag for Greece. Greek culture is really big all over the world. It's one of the oldest cultures, and Greek food is really freaking delicious. So anywhere you go where you might see Greek people or a Greek restaurant, in my hometown of Detroit, there is a Greek town, you are very likely to see the Greek flag. Perhaps you're a fan of the excellent film Mamma Mia? Anywhere Greek culture is exported, the Greek flag is surely to be seen. And that's because the Greek people have really adopted this flag as a part of their identity that they wish to export to the world. The reason I chose this flag this week is simple. I got a request to do it from a subscriber, and I was happy to dive into it. I do think it's very interesting to see that this was not the actual official flag until quite recently. Once again, it's also really interesting learning the history of the wars that were fought for the independence of a country and how that ties so closely into the flag that they eventually choose to represent their people. Finally, I think that for people like me who are originally from Metro Detroit, it's really cool to learn where a weird town like Ypsilanti got its name from. And these are just some of the kind of really cool nuggets that you find when you start digging into the past. And it's one of the reasons I love history so much, and I love sharing history so much. Well, everybody, that does it for this week. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Please submit your flag requests or your attempts to draw the Greek flag to this address on the bottom of the screen. We will be back next week for another flag. We are going back to North America, to the most populous city in the great nation of Canada. We are going to look at the flag for Toronto.